I will absolutely never be quiet about this. Working up until delivery is probably the craziest thing ever. Literally, labor is so spontaneous, and then you have to work up until you deliver to even have all the full time with your kid, because you might not have maternity leave. There's not FMLA. You don't have the leave to actually be there with your kid. So you want to save all your time and work until the last possible moment. You guys, something has got to be done about this.
So your maternity leave is 12 unpaid weeks
versus Canada, where you get 12 to 18 months of paid maternity and parental leave.
Maternity leave in America is crazy. I'm literally 35 weeks pregnant, measuring 3 weeks ahead, and I have to work up to my due date in order to get my full 12 weeks with my child whenever my child is born. I could go earlier if I wanted to and start my leave sooner, but then I'm missing out on time whenever the baby's actually born. Like, it's just so crazy and baffling that there's not an established maternity leave policy for employers. This is crazy.
Grateful to be a Canadian mom, and let me tell you why. I cannot get over the fact that in America, you guys get 6 weeks. What? 6 weeks. You can't even buy a puppy, take the puppy from the mom until they're 12 weeks old, and you can go back to work when your baby's 6 weeks old. We literally get a year or 18 months, your choice, same amount of pay, spaced out. And I think a year is short. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I think it should be 18 months, minimum, 2 years, maximum. Like, how are you guys doing it?
I have just been away from my 8-week-old for the first time for like 2 hours. I was dropping my friend off at the airport, and it just really made me, like, I've just pulled into the driveway, and like, I can't wait to go in and see him, like, and I was only away from him for 2 hours. And it's just really made me think, and it's gonna make me cry, it's really made me think like about the women who have to give their babies up for childcare. Like, in order to keep a job in America, it's just like having to go back to work so quickly and be away from your babies. Like, it's just not natural.
36 countries, Europe, Asia, all of them figured this out. The United States, 0 federally mandated paid leaves. Not 2, not 4, 0. Meanwhile, right across the border, Canada gives mothers up to 18 months paid. Can you believe this is still happening in 2026? Stay with me, because it gets worse.
Wow, Canada, you get 18 months of mat leave. You are so lucky. Yes, we are super fortunate that in Canada we can take up to 18 months of mat leave, and I can't imagine what it would be like to live in a country that you barely get any time.
One of the worst things I've ever gone through in my life was handing over my daughter at 12 weeks old to a stranger, all because of maternity leave in America. This country makes everything so hard for women, especially moms. When I was 6.5 months pregnant, I worked for a family-owned company. I'm not going to say their name. And I got laid off at 6.5 months pregnant. I remember reaching out to them and saying, like, how is this possible? Can you please place me in one of your other brands, because you have literally hundreds of brands under your umbrella? Long story short, they didn't, because they didn't care. They were a family-owned company that didn't care. I was able to find another job and get the 12 weeks of paid leave, but one of the hardest things was leaving my daughter. Like, just imagine how little a 12-week-old baby is that's never been away from their mom. I was breastfeeding her, so she had never been away from me, and then all of a sudden I'm handing her off to someone. A lot of people don't know this, but America is a country that actually doesn't require paid maternity leave federally. A lot of women will end up using their FMLA, which is unpaid. Additionally, 1 in 4 women go back to work while their baby's 2 weeks old. 2 weeks.
I just posted a video on how I'll be taking a full year for my maternity leave, and it pained me to read the comments. Yes, the United States of America, I am talking to you. These women are birthing live human beings for your economy, and you are not going to pay them to take work off?
I'm Canadian, so if you're American, buckle up. Took an 18-month leave with both of my children. During such time, my employer held my job for me. It was a paid leave in both cases, very partially paid, and so I acknowledge my privilege and my situation that my husband has a job that we can afford for me to take such an extended leave. But legally, my employer had to give it to me. In Canada, you can take a 12 or an 18-month, up to 18-month leave. My leave was fully paid for 20 weeks of my leave, and that's just employer dependent. They top me up for a portion of my mat leave. Should also note that there is a large portion of that leave that my husband would have been eligible to take instead of me, had we chosen as a family to do that. My salary was unchanged while I was on leave. I actually still got my annual increases while I was on leave, and they were just retroactive when I returned.
Can anyone name anything more depressing than the conversation with HR when you are having a baby in America. Like, the last thing I want to talk about when I'm pregnant is how little of time I get off and going back to work. I work for a company that is run by women, which I am so proud of. Our CEO is a woman, our COO is a woman, our CFO is a woman, and almost every employee in this business is a woman. So you would think that we would have a decent maternity package, but we don't. We get 6 weeks. 6 weeks of FMLA, so short-term disability, and then anything after that is either unpaid or unused PTO. I am not at all blaming the company I work for, because this is very standard across the board in the United States, but it's just, I dealt with this with my first, and we're dealing with it again with the second. It just blows my mind that women are expected to go back to work after 6 weeks. 6 weeks after having their child. But that's America, that's the world we live in, and I'm just gonna have to get over it, and it'll be fine.
I spoke to my HR yesterday and finally let them know that I'm expecting a baby. This part is not surprising, but I unfortunately do not get maternity leave benefits with my company. This is because I work for a startup and we literally have less than 20 employees. So basically, I'll need to apply for disability first, which I will take at 36 weeks, and then up to 8 weeks after baby is born. And then after that, I will be taking PFL, which is paid family leave, and I think that's good for up to 3 months or something. So since I won't be receiving maternity benefits through my company, I will be getting paid through EDD, but the only thing is that they only give you, I think, 60 to 70% of your wages. And then on top of that, while I am on leave from my company, I will still owe them my health premium that I'm paying for myself and my family. Plus, I will have to add on new baby 30 days after birth. I just wish that parents had better maternity and paternity leave benefits in America.
As if I couldn't be disappointed by this country enough, in addition to only receiving 12 weeks unpaid maternity leave, my short-term disability insurance claim was denied because when I accepted this job and signed up for the insurance policy, I was unknowingly days pregnant. So it's considered a pre-existing condition. Yeah, so now I actually have to go back to work before the 12 weeks are up because I can't afford not to. Not to mention that I ended up having an emergency C-section, which left me with a number of both physical and mental complications. So I have to go back to work before I've recovered from my major abdominal surgery. Yeah. Oh, but I had my baby, and he's perfect. And now I get to leave him in the care of somebody else while I go back to work, making TikToks for a company.
Some women are lucky and at least have the FMLA protection. The Family Medical Leave Act, FMLA, is the only federal law governing maternity leave in the United States. It provides eligible employees with up to 12 weeks of unpaid, job-protected leave per year for the birth of a child, adoption, or to care for a seriously ill family member. That is the flaw. That is it. A federal law that guarantees you time off, but does not pay you a single dollar for it. Here is what FMLA actually gives you. 12 weeks of unpaid, job-protected leave, federally mandated. $0 in federal wage replacement. Not a single dollar is guaranteed, and only 60% of workers even qualify. Part-time workers, small business employees, and new hires are excluded, and it gets worse. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, only 23% of private sector workers have access to any form of employee-paid maternity leave. That means that 77% of American workers get nothing paid. 1 in 4 American women return to work when their baby is just 2 weeks old. 2 weeks, a baby that cannot yet hold its own head up.
4 weeks of 100% paid maternity leave. 4 weeks. My job will allow 12 weeks of leave, but they are only paying me for 4 weeks at 100% of my normal pay. The first week comes out of my own PTO or basic leave time. The second week comes out of my extended leave bank. I have 4 weeks of maternity 100% paid by my company that I work for. So that accounts for 6 weeks. That remaining 6 weeks that I'm allowed to take is up to me. I have full-time benefits, thankfully, but they are only paying me 50% of my base rate for those remaining 6 weeks. Parental leave that the US offers is insulting, it's beyond dangerous, and it's frankly just pathetic. I'm just grateful that I get 4 weeks of paid maternity leave because people that don't have benefits, full-time benefits, they don't get anything. I feel like the way the system operates is just setting you up for failure.
So I live in Canada. I've been on maternity leave for about 8 months and I opted for the 18-month maternity leave. Very fortunate, very lucky to be able to do that. And now that I'm on maternity leave and like I've had my first baby, I truly cannot fathom how the people who don't get this, like go back to work after like a couple days, a couple weeks, even like a couple months. I don't even know what type of person I would have been at work that soon. It's not even just about like leaving your baby, like that is already like so heartbreaking. But like recovering from birth, like I don't think I felt like nearly normal enough or like back to myself until like recently. Like I would say like 5-6 months postpartum is when I started feeling like myself. So what is going on with the rest of the world? Like I think we need to reevaluate that. Like remind myself how grateful I am to be able to take this leave.
Now, let's talk about what Canada gives its mothers, because the contrast is staggering. Through Canada's employment insurance program, here's what a new mother receives: 15 weeks of maternity benefits at 55% of salary, up to $650 per week just for giving birth. Then 40 weeks of additional standard parental leave shared between both parents, and up to 69 weeks if parents choose the extended option, totaling up to 18 months combined, and the job protection guaranteed for the entire duration of leave by law. And here's something that changed in 2025. Canada eliminated the 1 week waiting period for EI benefits. That means benefits now start from day one. No waiting, no gap. The father or the second parent can take the leave instead of or alongside the mother. It is a family benefit, not just a maternal one. Between April and September of 2025 alone, over 304,000 Canadians received either maternity or parental benefits. A Canadian woman in one of these clips said something that stuck with me. She said, "I think a year is short. I think it should be 18 months minimum and 2 years maximum." That is the cultural baseline in Canada. A year feels short. In America, 6 weeks is considered generous. Now here's where you have to zoom out, because some people will say, well, that's just how it is in North America. No, it is not. Across the world, 36 countries over 52 or more weeks of paid maternity leave. The OECD average, that is the group of the world's wealthiest nation, is 18 weeks of paid leave. The US does not meet even that modest average. Let us look at how some of the countries compare. Estonia, 84 weeks paid, the global leader. Then Bulgaria, 70 weeks paid. Hungary, Norway, Canada, Germany, and lastly, the United States at 0-week federally mandated paid leave. Estonia, a country of 1.3 million people in the Eastern Europe, has decided that its mothers deserve 84 weeks of paid leave. The wealthiest, most powerful nation in the history of the world has decided its mothers deserve nothing. And here's the part that should make every American furious. 82% of Americans support federally paid maternity leave. 82%. That is not a partisan issue. That is near total consensus, yet the policy does not exist. So the question is not whether Americans want it. They do. The question is why it has not happened.
Ladies, how are you not more pissed off about this? I just saw a video talking about this, so I'll tag the creator, but you want to know why the United States is literally one of the only countries that gives 0 maternity leave? Well, one of the biggest contributing factors is because of companies like Nestle that own so much of the baby product space, they don't want you to be home with your child. Okay, stick with me on this. 90% of the US infant formula industry is owned by these 4 companies, right? I pointed out Nestle. Did you know that these formula companies are some of the biggest lobbyists to Congress so that you don't have paid maternity leave? They don't want you to be at home with your child because they're going to sell less formula. In fact, they estimate that breastfeeding results in economic losses of $350 billion a year. Oh, not to mention their product literally kills 212,000 infants per year in low to middle income areas. Like, this is so appalling and disgusting to me because think about it. Their marketing strategy, all these nice videos with the babies and the mom, and it's like, you're the most important person to your child. They don't give a fuck. Like, their marketing is basically like, we're trying to screw you guys over. We're killing your kids. We're the reason why you can't be home with your child after you give birth. And we need to pay millions of dollars so that people don't know how bad we are. You know, it's funny because we look at history classes, right? And we look at things where we're like, why did the Romans do that? Why did the Greeks do that? How are they in the Dark Ages? 200, 300, 400 years from now, people are going to be looking at our timeline and they're just going to be like, holy crap, all of these companies just did evil things and nobody was paying attention. Everyone was just kind of like, that's a good commercial. Let's go buy their product. I'm just shocked. Like I said, I saw the video by that creator I tagged and it's just stuck with me for days. Like, how are people not more pissed off about this?
One of the things that shocked me the most about moving to America as a Canadian was the stark contrast in the way that maternity leave and parental leave are applied or even are present in any sort of way, shape, or form. And I know what you're thinking. Why are you commenting on women's bodies? So true, so valid. That's not my job. That's, old white Republican senators' jobs, I guess now. But I do think I want to talk about just this as a Canadian. This is such a shocking thing. And it's so shocking because you have two countries that border each other that are culturally so similar. It's rare to have something be so jarringly different. So yeah, I'll describe what that is for those of you who aren't familiar. In the States, to the best of my knowledge, there is no federal law that requires employers to provide paid maternity leave. They're required to provide unpaid maternity leave, totaling 12 weeks. But unpaid maternity leave is a very different thing. It's saying, yeah, take your time off work, but also you're on your own. Obviously, many employers do better than that, but I think the general culture around parental leave and maternity leave is people are expected to come back to work in 2 or 3 months maximum. I've got a lot of friends in LA. I'm in my 30s, so lots of friends giving birth, lots of babies, and it was always really shocking to me seeing them go back to work so soon. Whereas in Canada, I guess I'll just start by saying the culture around leave and maternity leave, parental leave is so different. It is completely within the realm of what would be considered reasonable for new mothers and new parents to take 9 months, a year, 18 months. And not only is it more culturally acceptable, but it's also supported by law. By law, mothers are entitled to maternity benefits, which pay out a portion of their insurable salary, and both parents, whichever one is taking time off of work, are entitled to parental benefits. And these parental benefits are, you can take 55% of your salary up to, I want to say almost a year. And you can also take that same amount of money and prorate it to 18 months. And I think, regardless of what you think about those numbers, I think it speaks to just Canadians' general attitude towards women and towards mothers. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's very shocking to me how America treats its women and mothers. And maybe that's not a hot take at all. But I guess I wanted to make this video to hopefully normalize the idea of mothers taking their time, and both parents taking their time, the necessary time to to heal from childbirth and also to raise newborn infant children and to have some sort of support from the government.
Now, let's talk about the lobbying angle. 4 companies control 90% of the US infant formula market. These companies, including Nestle, are among the most active lobbyists in Washington on this exact issue. The economic logic is brutal and simple. Every week a mother breastfeeds is a week she's not buying formula. Breastfeeding is estimated to cost the formula industry $350 billion a year in lost revenue globally. So the incentive, the financial incentive, is to keep mothers away from their babies as quickly as possible. And the mechanism for doing that is ensuring there is no paid leave that allows a mother to stay home and nurse. And before you dismiss this point, ask yourself, why is the US the only developed country in the world without this policy when 82% of its own citizens want it? At some point, you have to follow the money. The US and Canada share a language, a border, similar economies, similar culture. But the moment a woman becomes pregnant, the two countries become completely unrecognizable from each other. In Canada, it is completely normal, culturally expected, legally protected, for a new mother to take 9 months, a year, 18 months. Colleagues hold your job. Your employer is legally required to give it back. Your salary is partially replaced by the government, and your partner can take part of the leave too. In America, a woman at 35 weeks pregnant is calculating whether she can afford to take a single day off before her due date. She is saving her hours like a currency, because in America, time with your newborn is a resource you have to budget. One Canadian mother said she had been away from her 8-week-old for just 2 hours and was moved to tears thinking about American women who have to leave their babies in childcare to keep their jobs. She said it's just not natural, and the data backs her up. Research consistently shows that longer maternity leave is associated with lower infant mortality rates, better breastfeeding outcomes, lower rates of postpartum depression, and stronger early childhood development. That is not a sentiment, that is public health. One of the creators today asked, "Ladies, how are you not more pissed off about this?" And honestly, that is the right question, because 82% of Americans want this policy. There is near universal public support. The medical evidence is overwhelming. Every peer country on earth has figured this out. Some figured it out decades ago. 300 years from now, historians are going to look back at this era the same way we look at history and ask, how did they not see it? And they're going to ask, why did the most powerful economy on earth decide that the women who birth and raise the next generation of workers, taxpayers, and citizens did not deserve a single payday to recover? And that is the reality, that is the comparison, and that is why people are losing it.
Right, I did not think that posting my maternity out of office was going to be so controversial. I didn't realise that people just hate maternity leave so much. For context, I've literally worked for the 9 months that I've been pregnant up until like 2 weeks before my due date. I've worked through the morning sickness, the first trimester trenches. If I want to take a year, I will be taking a year. And can I just say, it's always the men that have the most to say. In the comments saying, oh, that's too long, you don't need 12 months. Like, shut the fuck up. I will take 12 months if I want to take 12 months.
So what do you all think? Do you think that the situation in the US is fair, or should the government consider giving mothers more time to recover? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. I would love to keep this discussion going. Otherwise, that's it from me. I also have another video specifically tailored for you, and if you enjoy such kind of content, please click up here and enjoy. Also, consider subscribing, liking and sharing, because it helps me grow my channel and helps YouTube recommend this video to a wider audience. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and until the next time, the Joy Report out.